I'm sorry that we had to miss our fall meeting due to the government shutdown at the time. But so we're moving ahead now, and quick this week before maybe appending another one. I don't know. I think you all pretty much know me. I am Amy Brand. I work for Jacobs, and I'm a facilitator for RAB meetings. We are going to, part of our slides, we're going to review how to operate some of the buttons on here. And so we'll do that. And I'm also going to make sure I'm aware of all the RAB members on the call. So go ahead to the next slide. So here's our agenda, agenda review. That's what we're doing now. Then we'll do some meeting logistics, welcome and introductions. We'll do our RAB business section of the meeting. That'll be fairly brief. And then we have a report on the non-AFFF due diligence study, and then the environmental restoration program status update. At the end, we have public questions and comments. As you all know, and I'm going to review in a minute, RAB members have an opportunity to ask questions at the end of each presentation. Public questions are held to the end. And then we have just closing remarks, and we should adjourn by 7:30, hopefully. Next slide. So meeting logistics, moving on. So just a reminder, you may have heard me say at the beginning, and it should have popped up on your screen, we do record these meetings. We always do. For a couple of reasons. One is it helps a lot when we go to do the meeting summaries, but also we post the meeting recording on the base website and on YouTube, and we'll send out that link to you. So the meetings are recorded. So I just want to let you know that. Just our basic meeting guidelines, and so RAB members can ask questions at the end of each topic. You just raise your hand to speak, and I'm going to show you how to raise your hand there. If for some reason we don't see your hand raised, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question when we're in that RAB question section of the meeting. I do, just like when we're in person, I always ask people to introduce yourself so that everybody online knows who is speaking, and it helps a lot when we do the meeting summary as well. I don't enforce, but I just want to mention a time limit. I'm not watching my clock when you're talking, but the idea is just to make sure that all members, RAB members, have some time to participate. For people from the public who are online and have questions on these presentations, we ask you to go ahead and type those questions into chat. Again, during the meeting logistics, I'm going to show you how to do that if you're not familiar. And then at the end of the meeting, we will get to those questions, okay? So moving on. All right, here's a refresher now that we're all on. This is MS Teams as opposed to Zoom, so it may be a little bit different. So basically, you should be able to see, now it says on the lower right, it may appear in different places on your screen, but there should be a button that either says participants or people. I think it actually says people now. They've changed it. And if you click on that, in theory, you will get a list of all the people who are on the call. And you can scroll down through that. And so hopefully you can see that. To ask a question for RAB members, you can raise your hand to be called on to speak. There should be a panel where you see a little hand that's, literally a little hand to raise your hand. And we will then call on you to speak, and you can unmute yourself. Now, to unmute yourself, if you have that people screen open, there's a little microphone with either a line through it or not to unmute yourself. And if there's any trouble there, we can try to unmute you. Again, for people from the public who are participating in tonight's meeting, first of all, welcome. We're happy to have you here. We do hold public questions to the end, but if we don't want you to forget what your question is, so you can go ahead and type those into the chat. You should see that's circled in green on the left on the slide. It looks like a little word bubble with a couple lines in it. It says chat. If you click on that, it should open a panel for you to to type in your question. I would appreciate that people only use that for questions or anything critical like I can't hear you or things like that. I don't want to open up just chatting amongst ourselves during the meeting. That's the same as having offline conversations when we're sitting on around the table and it's not conducive to the meeting. So moving on. So for anybody who's on the phone, and I see we do have a couple of people on the phone, they may also be online and looking at the slides. But if you are on the phone, hopefully you do have the slide presentation. And that was emailed out on Monday. And then I actually emailed it about a half hour ago. Don't worry if you didn't get that. It had minor updates. So you'll have it. But if you didn't get it before this meeting, don't worry about it. The changes are, like I realize this is RAB meeting 13, not 14, and they're very, very minor changes like that. If you're on the phone, please use your phone mute button when you're not speaking, and you would hit *5 to raise your hand to be called on to speak after the presentation, and you can unmute yourself on your phone. Okay, next slide.
Amy, really quick, I'm not sure if it's only me, but I don't see any slides.
I can see them.
This is Mary O'Connell. I can see them also.
Disregard, it's just me then.
I can see them, yeah. Kathy Hillman, your community co-chair. I see that slide.
What are you seeing, Jen?
Just all the people right now. I'm trying to change my view, but yeah, just the people.
That'll be a view on your
figure
screen.
It out. Don't worry. Don't stop for me. Continue, please.
Okay, so we'll move on right now to welcome and introductions by our co-chairs. Our community co-chair, Kathy, you can go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm so glad that we're doing this because it's been such a long time. And I'm hoping that the government doesn't shut down again on Friday. So I'm just glad that we're on the move again. Thank you so much. Thank you for everybody for coming.
Okay, and Colonel Glass, thanks for those comments, Kathy. Colonel?
Hello, everyone. Colonel Glass here. I'm the new commander of the 104th Fighter Wing, and I'm honored to get to speak with everyone today. I'm looking forward very much so to our future interactions and relationships as we work towards this. And like I said, I've been to one of these meetings before in the past, but I'm more than anything, I'm just excited to get to know everyone. And hopefully in the future, we'll all be in person so we can shake hands and chat and come to resolutions as needed. And I'll save any other comments for later, but just really looking forward to spending some more time with everyone. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Colonel. Okay, so in terms, I just want to cover, you guys know who the team is, but I do want to take this opportunity for each of the RAB members to identify themselves so I know what RAB members are online.
I'm Mary O'Connell, and I'm a RAB member, and I'm here.
Okay, great. Thanks, Mary.
Dawn Thomas, I'm a RAB member, and I'm present.
Okay.
Chris Clark here.
Okay.
Also
Chris
a RAB
Clark.
member here.
Okay, Marianne.
Marianne Babinski, RAB member here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Kristen Mello's also here.
Hi, Kristen. Kristen, I saw that you had a question about whether the slides would be in the recording, and yes, they should be, because they are showing for most people. So
yeah, so far there are at least 3 of us who aren't seeing them. And I have changed my view several times to try and bring them up. I'm just going to follow along on my copy, but I cannot be sure that they will be in the recording if I can't see them.
Yeah.
Maybe if you do pop out, I think that's the reason why I got them.
If I what?
Pop out. There's an option for popping out. It's like popcorn.
Are there any other RAB members online who have not spoken up?
Barbara Rokas.
Thomas Keefe, Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection.
Okay. All right. Okay, welcome everybody. Appreciate it. Moving on. Next slide. Okay, so we're going to go through RAB business first. Go ahead. Okay. So I want to talk about staffing transitions because we do have a few. Then we're going to review because of the staffing transitions and new people coming in. We're going to do a very brief review of the operating procedures. We'll talk about the meeting summary, review, and if possible approval at upcoming meetings. So first of all, for staffing transitions, unfortunately, October would have been Colonel Hlaskun's last RAB meeting with us, so we did not have an opportunity to say goodbye to him at that meeting, but we welcome Colonel Glass. Colonel, you already introduced yourself. You're welcome to say if you have anything more to say at this time.
I'm good, thank you. I appreciate the welcome.
Okay, thank you. We also do have a new project manager for USAS, is U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. I didn't spell out that acronym for you there. Amanda Martin is the outgoing project manager, and Tracy Williams is the incoming project manager. Tracy, you may go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Tracy Williams. Like you said, I'm the project manager for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, taking over from Amanda Martin, who's done a wonderful job so far. And I'm trying to get up to speed as fast as I can, listening to my project development team and the former PM to sort of get up to speed on Barnes. So I'm looking forward to working with you guys in the future. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tracy. And then finally, I want to introduce from Jacobs, Carla Mikatuk. I am transitioning out as the RAB facilitator for both Stewart and Barnes. And I say that with very mixed feelings. I'm not leaving Jacobs. I am still around. I will still be supporting Carla. But I just wanted to let you know all that. Just basically it's due to primarily workload and what's going to be some restrictions on my travel coming up because I'm going to be having knee replacement surgery this year. Carla, you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, thanks, Amy. I am excited to be a part of the project, and I was super excited to fly into Hartford the other day and participate in the meeting since that's like going home for me. I grew up in South Hadley, Massachusetts, graduated from UMass Amherst with my master's in public administration. I've worked on some EPA hazardous waste sites, doing Region 5 communication for many years, writing community involvement plans and things like that. And I'm excited to learn how this process goes for you and be a part of it. And I apologize to those who have technical errors. We did try something new, so some of the team could advance the slides on their own, and that may be a part of the problem. We will make sure that you do have the video with the slides, and I am still working on a solution while we're in this meeting.
Can I ask a question? Are you married to Mark Mikatuk?
No, I am not. There is actually quite a few Mikatuks around. I have a great aunt Helen who is 100 years old, who still lives in South Hadley. But I'm of the Paul Mikatuk family from South Hadley. Yeah, that was my grandfather, and I had a great grandfather that was Peter Mikatuk there.
Oh, okay. I grew up in South Hadley. That's why I'm asking.
That's
funny.
Yeah.
So Carla, I don't know if you mentioned, she now lives in Chicago. But
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that, like, before you all think she's just from Chicago, and that is where she has been living for quite some time. She is originally from South Hadley.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I've been with Jacobs for 25 years doing public engagement, and that's what keeps me in Chicago. I never considered it home because New England is home.
That's what we all think. Especially South Hadley.
Yeah.
Okay. So Carly, go ahead to the next slide, please. So again, because we have so many people sort of transitioning in, I've emailed out to you all the operating procedures as a review, and I'm not gonna read all the words on all the slides, I assure you, but I just wanted to call out a few things. As a reminder, the mission of this RAB is to establish and maintain a forum for local stakeholders, all of you stakeholders, community members, and the project team, the Air National Guard, the folks at the base, for everybody to come together for an exchange of information and ideas in an open and interactive dialogue concerning the base's environmental investigation and cleanup program, which is called the Environmental Restoration Program. And most specifically as it focuses on PFAS. So you can read through for yourself in the operating procedures, all the bullets that have to do with the RAB purpose. But one of the things that I want to just emphasize is that the role of RAB community members is not only to participate, which you all do a great job of, but the second part of that, and I think you do a great job of this too, but is to serve as a community liaison. So taking what you learn here and sharing it with the community members, and then bringing from the community, from other people who aren't here, bringing concerns to the table. I think you all do a great job of that as it is, but I just wanted to emphasize that as really a primary role of RAB members. Next page. When we put together those operating procedures, we agreed on a set of guiding principles that I just want to summarize here. The first one is that the use of PFAS chemicals at barns at the time they were used was all done in accordance with DoD policies, environmental policies, all the rules and regulations at the time. Releases to the environment occurred, but as a result of the authorized use, and that there was never any malicious intent or deliberate misuse or deliberate disposal that occurred. I want to add, for just so everybody knows, AFFF, which is the firefighting foam, and PFAS is in that firefighting foam. It's no longer used at the base. It was removed from all equipment in trucks in September 2024. And it was removed entirely from the base in July 2025. So in that interim period, it was stored properly on base, but there is no use of AFFF on the base, and it's not there. So just wanted everybody to know that. In terms of the other bullets, the Environmental Restoration Program, this is the second bullet, is done in accordance with CERCLA, which is commonly known as Superfund. That's the law that regulates how environmental investigation and cleanup is done, and as well as DoD policies, specifically the Air Force and Air National Guard policy. And what's important to know is that that's also done under oversight and regulation of the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection, as represented by Tom Keefe, who introduced himself earlier. And the third bullet is really just emphasizing that all members of the RAB, and really all the team that's here, whether you're officially a member of the RAB or you're part of the consultant team, the Air National Guard, the folks at the base, we're really all working together with the goal of reaching resolution on investigation and cleanup of past environmental releases from barns. So just want to emphasize that working together, and that there are no secrets. All relevant information is open to be shared by both sides, and the information dissemination is part of the job. Next slide. And this again is just some of the highlights. The community co-chair, Kathy, is the primary point of contact for community RAB members. So emails and things like that should go through. Oh, Kristen sees slides. Sorry, that was a little ADHD. That was a little ADHD moment. Sorry, but that's good news. Kathy is a community co-chair, and RAB member communications should go through Kathy. Ask her for all your questions, and Kathy already took that point role this week by polling all of you to see whether we should try to meet in person or be online. So I appreciate that, Kathy. I kind of mentioned this at the beginning. There's only one meeting, no side conversations. That's, when we're in the room, that would be whispering or answering your phone or, that kind of thing, or even two conversations going on. And then when we're here on person, we try not to have chats going on. I understand that this chat has been about your ability to see the slides, and that's fine. And I'm really glad that Carla was able to figure out what did that. So that's great. We want to just keep the dialogue respectful. Again, the idea we're all on the team together, and avoid surprises and secrets. If a RAB member has information to bring to the table, please share it with everybody. And likewise on the side of the air guard. So next slide. Okay, that's enough of those. You have the operating procedures. Especially if you're new to the RAB, I encourage you to take an opportunity to take a look through those. The meeting summary just got out to you recently from July. That is on me. That was lost in the shuffle of the government shutdown. Have people had an opportunity to review that? Are we ready to go ahead and approve it? Do we need to have discussion?
The state's good. The state's all set.
Okay, I see Kristen gave us a thumbs up. RAB members, why don't you do that? Give us a thumbs up if you're okay with it. So going back to seeing people. It looks, is there anybody, let's go the other way. If there are any RAB members who have any comments on the meeting summary or aren't ready to approve it, please go ahead and unmute yourself right now and let us know. Okay, I'm going to consider those approved, and we'll get those up on the website. The base public affairs officer takes care of that, Jay, and we'll get those up on the website and into the admin record. Our upcoming meetings, just a reminder that meetings are on the 4th Thursday of the month. That is usually the last Thursday of the month, but every now and then it's not, so just pay attention to that. Our upcoming meeting dates hopefully are already on your calendar for April 23, July 23, and October 29. Next slide. Okay, any discussion on any of the things that I just covered? RAB members, you can raise your hand, or I'm going to be honest. RAB members, you can also just go ahead and unmute yourself if we don't get into talking over each other. Kristen, go ahead.
Under the category of sharing information and the AFFF, I just wanted to let you know that there was recent discussion between myself and the airport manager, who went to check out the composition of the high expansion foam that's used in the hangars, and on the non-DoD side of the fence, they're using C6 chemistries, which may not be PFOS or PFOA, but they are still PFAS. So I would like to, first say that there's that still on premises, but I am wondering whether or not the HEF that the base uses, whether or not they removed that, if it's still there, and if it is there, whether or not it also contains PFAS.
Okay. We have somebody online who's able to answer that question? I know who I'd like to call on.
This is Lieutenant Colonel Sinclair. I can only answer a portion of it. Our high expansion foam is all just being stored. It is not in service at all. It is locked out, tagged out. All we use right now is water. And in the fire trucks, we use I'm going to mess up the thing, that the F3, the F2
Fluorine-free foam.
Yeah, you got it. F3.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. I've got so many acronyms in my head and I feel bad even saying it because I don't know it, but yes, Miss Baker just corrected me on that. So that is in my fire trucks for fighting any fires. The high expansion foam is completely locked out, tagged out. It cannot be used. It cannot be accidentally set off. All we use in the hangars is water.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kristen. Any other questions before we move on, or comments from RAB members?
I will say, this is Jen Baker. Kristen, I will follow up with Dan from the airport as well about that as well.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, moving on. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Robert and Jessica Wagner to talk about the non-AFFF due diligence study.
All right, thank you, Amy, and thanks again, everybody that made their evening all about sitting down with us. I know there's a lot of other things that are probably more enjoyable, but we appreciate you showing up. If you remember from the last RAB, we had Craig Johnson from EA. He kind of gave you an overview of what the non-AFFF due diligence report was going to be looking at. And tonight we have Jessica Wagner, who's going to tell us what they found when they did their non-AFFF due diligence study. So Jessica, I'll let you take it away. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Hi, everyone. I'm Jessica Wagner with EA Engineering, Science, and Technology. We can go to the next slide, please.
I like that I can see you.
Yes. So I just kind of want to give an overview reminder of the project. So as a reminder, the team, we at EA Engineering, Science, and Technology were contracted under the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the Omaha District, by the Air National Guard to conduct due diligence reports for non-AFFF PFAS at 141 Air National Guard installations, with Barnes being one of them. And the objectives of the project was first, to determine where potential sources of PFAS other than AFFF were stored, handled, and potentially released, and then ultimately to identify if a potential release of PFAS warrants further investigation. And so the way we went about this was conducting historical records review of documents, interviewing personnel familiar with history and operations at the base, and then we ultimately would determine if a potential or identified release required additional investigation, and then these were summarized in a due diligence report for each installation. And so you can go to the next slide. Yep, for kind of the results for the Barnes base, the administrative record had 658 documents that we were able to review, as well as some other documents that were provided to us during our research. And we identified 11 primary documents that we evaluated during our research. We identified 113 shops and locations within the base, and we interviewed the environmental manager for the base. And ultimately, it was determined that there were 5 shops or locations that we recommended for further evaluation for non-AFFF PFAS. And then just below is a brief schedule. The draft report was submitted in February of 2025. The draft final was just in December of 2025. And then we just finalized the final report, and that will be submitted at the end of this month, January 2026. Yep. And does anyone have any questions?
Yep. So RAB members, please go ahead and raise your hand, or just go ahead and unmute yourself if you have questions for her about the non-AFFF due diligence report.
Hi, this is Chris Clark. Just a quick question. I was curious about what other potential sources that the base may have. I know you said that you've been scanning through and looking, like reviewing these documents, but are you able to share with us any of the particular applications, uses, or behaviors that like these other sources may have come from?
Yeah, we base it on the Office of the Assistant Secretary of Defense memo that came out that lists different uses or processes. In general, some of those being descaling processes, lubricating maintenance, things like washing, painting, those types of processes on base is what we identified. And then, products such as surfactants, fluorochemicals, defoamers, soaps, detergents, herbicides, pesticides. Those are just kind of things that potentially may contain PFAS that we looked at.
Fabulous. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thanks, Chris. Any other questions from RAB members? I'm looking for hands, but if I don't see your hand, you can go ahead and unmute yourself. I am not seeing any. Okay, we'll move on. Okay, so we'll have an update on the Technical Assistance for Public Participation, or TAP grant. Lieutenant Colonel Sinclair and Dr. Danielle Hare.
Good evening. This is Lieutenant Colonel Sarah Sinclair, just as a contracting officer's representative for the TAP grant. It was awarded to the University of Massachusetts at Amherst. They have Dr. Bout and Dr. Hare working together on this for the different portions of it. And they've been doing an excellent job, and they're here to, or at least Dr. Hare is here today to provide a quick update on the process that she's been using and where she stands with the expectation that we should be able to have this presentation at our April meeting. Dr. Hare, to you.
You can
Thank
advance the
you.
slide, Carla. There you go.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah.
And thanks for having me today. Yeah, my goal today is just to introduce myself and kind of give you a brief overview of what I see as the main objective in my overall approach. And so this would be the commenting time if I don't touch everything that you were hoping that I would investigate as part of this TAP. A little bit about me. My name is Danielle Hare. I am a research assistant professor in the Earth, Geographic, and Climate Sciences Department at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. Before I got my PhD, I did work in site investigation and remediation design, so I do have a background in that. But my main focus is looking at surface water, groundwater interactions. So I have a lot of knowledge both in hydrogeology and surface water transport. So what I see as my objective for this TAP is to provide an independent review and technical support for the document review of any complications or risks associated with commingling of any of the co-contaminants at this site in particular, as well as how different remediation strategies could have or may influence precursor transformation. So far, my approach has been to kind of coalesce all the literature. And right now I've been working through the preliminary sorting and assessments of the different peer-reviewed literature that's out there, both for the commingling as well as the remediation strategies. But doing that through a lens that is site-specific. Right, so making sure that I have the site knowledge, which most of you have more of that than me right now, trying to get up to speed on what is the main focus, both through kind of the source zone and contaminants on site, but also through the hydrogeologic context. So really trying to understand the site at more of a mesoscale, larger scale, but also on the scale of the presence of organics, also pH, presence of calcium, things that are known to have impact on precursor transformation. Also, one of my focuses during the literature review is focusing on similar sites. So focusing on sites with firefighter training or civilian or military airports that have historic use of your AFFF, as well as trying to understand precursors of PFAA. I'm all through this. I also have been reaching out to different technical experts because I don't have all the answers. And so I've been really trying to spread and ask the right people in the network that includes academics, people in industry, as well as folks from the USGS. The one last thing that I'm focused on is trying to understand the most up-to-date method sampling techniques as well as strategies for understanding transport from source to either to wells or to surface water expression. And so really trying to get a handle on techniques and strategies that can help us understand it as a holistic site. Yeah, happy to take any questions, concerns, ideas.
Okay, RAB members, any questions, comments for Dr. Hare? Go ahead, Kristen.
I just wanted to say welcome aboard and thank you so much. That is exactly what we were asking for.
Excellent. Glad to hear it.
Any other?
Yes, Chris here, Chris Clark here. I was just about to say, the only comment I have is thank you.
Great, thanks, Chris.
Great to hear. And yes, the plan is to present these the findings in the April 23rd meeting.
Great. Any other questions or comments for Dr. Hare? Kristen, your hand's still up, which, yeah, there you go. Might just been that it still was. That's fine. Okay, great. Well, we look forward to your presentation in April. Thank you so much. I know the RAB members really look forward to your presentation in April. So, okay, we're going to move on then to the status update on the environmental restoration program. This starts with Robert, and then I think he hands it off as we go. So,
All right, again, hello. If we can just move to the next slide. Hear me? All right, so give a quick update. Site 2, so we had the lease amendment and the ALU, can never remember it quite right. Just to let everyone know that both parties, the City of Westfield and the DoD entities, have all signed off, so that lease amendment is complete. The PSS is in place, and if I remember correctly, the first part of this process is to have the regulator come out and inspect Site 2, and I believe Thomas, he's online, he could tell us. I think he's going out there tomorrow to check it out. So Site 2 is going to be kind of off the environmental restoration program notes for the next RAB. As for the current RI investigation, we recently completed the round 1 of site surface sampling, and Drew is going to give us an update on that shortly. We are continuing to work through the access agreements with the City of Westfield, a few private business owners, and I believe we have and some state entities. We want to get some state parks. For the most part, access agreements are going much more smoothly now. I think we have worked everything out with the City of Westfield as for where we're going to sample and what entities we need to have that access agreement with. So we're going to have a few amended access agreements and a couple new access agreements. All that leading up to us being able to get out in the field late winter or early spring 2026, to where we can really, Drew and his crew can really hit the ground and make some progress and getting samples, and we can later see some results. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Drew Barton from Battelle, and he can kind of give you an update more in depth. Oh, nope, I have one more slide. Just to remind everybody where we are at. We are in Q1 of 2026, the year, and we are Q2 of the fiscal year 2026. So we're right in the RI fieldwork and the third TAP grant that you see on the screen. Kind of, we are here. Thank you for adding that, Amy.
We just added that today. Hopefully that helps.
I just saw it too. So there we are. We are here.
That's part of the late afternoon edits. I told you they weren't really major.
That's right. This is why I get lost in the mall. I can never find the "We Are Here" sign. All right, there we go. So, all right, now I will turn it over to Drew. Thank you.
He's mute, I bet.
Drew, you're muted right now. We tested right before we started that he could unmute. There we go. Now we can hear you.
Okay, you can. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry,
assuming that deep sigh was you. Oh, go ahead.
Off mute for some reason. Okay.
You're good.
All right. Sorry about that, everybody. Yeah, I'm Drew Barton. I'm the project manager for the SRS Battelle JV, who is the PFAS remedial investigation contractor. So just wanted to start here with a review of the project RI fieldwork scope. This is outlined in the quality assurance project plan that I believe everyone's had a chance to review, and we did present this last time at our meeting as well. So a green highlight here indicates the action's in progress, and the yellow highlight indicates our next steps. So as Robert noted, we're working on our site access agreements and permit compliance. And with a lot of our field work, we do utility location. So we had to do that for our surface soil sampling, which has also been completed, as Robert noted. I do want to point out it's just our initial phase of surface soil sampling, so there will be more of that to do. And the rest of these items, specifically the ones highlighted in yellow, I'll talk about a little bit more later in the presentation when we get into schedule a little bit. Okay, next slide. Okay, so surface soil sampling has been completed since we all met last, at least our phase 1, performed in September 2025, as outlined in our QAP that I just mentioned, the Quality Assurance Project Plan. We collected samples from 8 different areas of concern, a total of 79 samples, between 8 and 13 samples per AOC. And samples were located spatially in areas where PFAS impacts are anticipated. So we based those locations a lot based on our site investigation and our expanded site investigation data. So that was the basis for developing where we put our sample locations here. And every sample was collected from a depth of between 0 and 2 feet below ground surface. Samples were analyzed for PFAS using EPA method 1633. And then we go through a pretty rigorous data validation process that's outlined in the QAPP, both internally, and then Army Corps of Engineers just completed their review and had some comments for us on that, so we're addressing those comments right now. The data themselves are compared to the project screening levels that are documented in the QAP, and those project screening levels are based on the EPA regional screening levels for residential soil. So when we did look through the data, we noticed that only 3 of our PFAS compounds exceeded project screening levels, and that was PFOA, PFOS, and PFDA. And I'll go the next couple slides, we'll talk about the data a little bit and talk about the exceedances. But I did want to also point out we did not get a chance yet to collect our background surface soil samples. We'll do that once the access agreements are reached. So yeah, here's a general summary of our surface soil sampling results from round 1. For each of the 8 different AOCs. So our first column is the AOC name, second column, the number of samples collected per AOC. And then in the remaining columns, we listed out the 3 chemicals for which the project screening levels were exceeded, PFOA, PFOS, and PFDA. And under each of those, we listed how many samples exceeded the PSL and what was the maximum concentration. So example for AOC1, you can see that PFOA exceeded PSL at 12 of the sampling locations with a maximum of 1.24 micrograms per kilogram. So this is just kind of a general summary. In general, you can see that the PFOA and the PFOS concentrations are higher than the PFDA concentrations. And in general, there were a lot more exceedances for AOC 1, 2, and 6. And concentrations were, generally fairly high in AOC 1, AOC 2, 4, 6, compared to the other ones. We do see some higher concentrations there, but in general, those were the higher concentrations we showed. And I'll talk about those briefly on the next couple slides as well. And I also did want to point out that on this map, we did list the PSLs, the project screening levels for PFOA, PFOS, and PFDA. Those are on the bottom. Okay, so our next slide, we're going to talk a little bit about the AOC specific results. And these figures in general are more or less the same figures that we saw in the Quality Assurance Project Plan, where we documented the proposed locations as well as the ESI and SI data. But on these figures, we did summarize the Phase 1 RI surface soil data. So just a brief discussion of this. Yep,
I'm going to interrupt Drew. No, that's okay. I warned him I'd do this. I'm going to interrupt Drew real quick before he starts. So 2 things that will help you look at these maps. One, that you got them online in your email, but also while you're looking at it, if you're on a computer and you're able to do this, this is just a little trick I never knew until recently. If you hold down Control on your keyboard and then slide the little wheel on your mouse, you can zoom in just for yourself on this particular map. So so if you want to try doing that, if you're on a computer as opposed to your phone. So just a tip. Okay, Drew, go ahead.
All right, thanks, Amy. So for this first figure, I'm going to kind of give everybody a little bit of background that hopefully makes the figures a little easier to interpret. And then we can talk about the data and go through the other AOCs as well. So if you look on the far right, we have a legend that talks about the sample, the symbol IDs. A little further right with that cursor, yes. So you see the smallest symbol is for SI soil sample. The larger symbol with a cross in it is for an ESI soil boring. And then the larger circle without a cross in it is our PFAS RI boring location. And for each one of those, if you see a green, or sometimes it's hard to see on the small ones, a green or a black color coding, it means it's below your project screening level. But if it's red, it's above the project screening level. So the symbols that are red on here exceed our project screening levels for one or more of PFAS compounds at that location. So with that being said, at each of the new locations, you can see a small table right here that lists the data for the 3 chemicals that was above our projects, that were above project screening levels. So let's take 01 SB11, the furthest one to the north. The first under the sample ID, which is Barnes 01 SB11, you see PFOA, PFOS, and PFDA in the first column. And in the second column, you see the results for PFOA, PFOS, and PFDA. And we color coded those to kind of make it hopefully a little bit easier just to look at this and get a good idea of where we're seeing the highest concentrations. So that color coding is talked about in the upper right-hand corner of the figure. So if the shading in those cells is gray, we didn't detect the compound. If it's blue, we detected the compounds, but it's below the project screening level. And anything below that was detected above the project screening level. So if it's blue, it's between 1 and 2 times the project screening level, yellow between 2 and 10 times, orange between 10 and 100 times, red between 100 and 1,000, and then dark red between 1,000, or it's above 1,000. So if you see a yellow, down to red, that gets you a general idea of we're seeing some concentrations that are a little higher above the PSL. So for example, if you look at this figure right here, you see one cell that's red. So our highest concentration of PFAS was down here, and I think that's SB18. It's hard for me to read that with my screen. So, wherever you see some orange or yellow or red, those are generally higher concentrations. But if anything is above blue, you see a PSL exceedance. So at every location on this map, you do see either blue or yellow. So you can see that at each location, a PSL was exceeded on this map. So I might break protocol here, Amy. Does anybody in the RAB have any questions about that would make this easier to go through? Does that seem fairly clear to everybody on this?
He's got more maps coming up, so it's
I have more maps, so I just want to
any
get that out
comments
there.
on how we presented this now will help the next slide and then present the next slides. We good?
Hi, this is Chris Clark. Sorry, I have a question really quick.
Yeah.
The maps make a lot of sense. I'm wondering, could you, with the method 1633, can you remind us which PFAS that one would be looking for? I think this is 3 out of the maybe 16 that are identified. I can't remember how many it is off the top of my head, but I'm wondering, is that data of the samples that were below detection, or maybe they weren't below detection, but they're below the PSL? Is that data available? Do you have that data on hand, and would you be able to share that with the RAB?
I don't have the data available to share during this call. We do sample for 40 PFAS.
Wonderful.
And I think 8 to 10 of them have project screening levels that we screen against. And then, as I mentioned before, only 3 of them exceeded those PSL. So that's why we only presented those 3 here. But we have data for the 40. I believe we have it for branched and linear for several of the compounds as well. So those data are there. I'd have to talk with folks here to see how and when we would get that to you, but it is available. I don't know if Tracy or Amanda or Robert wanted to expand on that, but that's what the data that we do have.
Yeah. Hey, Drew. No, we had talked about sharing the data, and we plan to do that. But if I recall from the conversation, that we are still having some validation issues that have to get worked out. And until that data is validated and submitted to ERPMs, we're not going to share it. But after that, we can.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm surprised that I can share my comments for the end. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, Kristen. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. In line with what Chris just asked, I'm wondering whether or not all all that information, one, can be shared, and I would like to renew the request that it be shared in a digital like spreadsheet format so that we can actually look at it and manipulate it, even if just to visualize it for ourselves. Because I would like to remind everybody that, you know, we have this lease that says that in the cleanup process, it will be cleaned up to state levels. And so while I get that the picture is simplified with only the PSL, we're collecting information that will be needed down the road, right? When we clean up in honor of that, you know, legal agreement that we have. So we're going to need that information. And for the non-scientists among us, you know, I'm thinking of you guys, would you please explain to them in terms they understand, like parts per million, parts per trillion, parts per billion, what units we're in, and what we're speaking about here? Because while I appreciate the color coding in more ways than you know, these numbers I think are presented in a way that make them look small, even though they're red. And I don't think people fully grasp what we're looking at here. And so if you could say it, again, some of these concentrations in a more relatable way for them, and not have it be my words, have it be yours, I'd appreciate it. And thank you so much.
Sure. Thanks, Kristen. So yeah, all of the data are reported in micrograms per kilogram. And, you know, for each of these figures, the project screening levels is also shown on here along with the data. So you can get an idea, you know, visually, you know, if my PFOA concentration is, the PSL is 0.07 micrograms per kilogram, my data are 10 times above the PSL, it's going to be about 0.7 micrograms per kilogram. So, yeah.
So I just wanted to point out that the little white chart that's underneath the rainbow chart has those project screening levels. So for comparison, those are the project screening levels. And you can use those numbers to compare to what's in the chart. Correct, Drew?
Yes.
Always correct me if I'm speaking out of turn.
No, I was putting my cursor all over it, thinking everyone could see it. And I remembered no one can see my cursor. So
no one can see your cursor, or whoever's cursor it is, but I just want to point that out. Kristen, I appreciate your comment, and I'm sure your fellow community RAB members do as well. Okay, I think we're ready to move on then.
Yeah, I'm just going to move through the next few AOCs here, you know, with what I just talked about as a bit of a backdrop. So on this AOC as well, AOC 2, you can see that each of the locations either has a blue or a yellow highlight in there, which indicates there's a value above the project screening level. And we are going to use these data, as I should have mentioned on the last slide, to understand where we need to step out, so that ultimately we will get concentrations, hopefully, you know, either to background or to our project screening levels, so we can delineate the nature or the extent of PFAS at each of these AOCs. So this is our first step. Yep.
Drew, we've had this question at RAB meetings before. Could you explain what you mean by the term step out?
Step out. So for example, on this slide, you know, where we see concentrations that are orange down this way, just for example, that concentration is the highest one above PSLs at this location. So we'd want to be able to move out, put a sample location here, and in general, either see in our box here all gray or all green, meaning all the concentrations are below PSLs or background levels. We're still working on that a little bit, but you know, that's why we're collecting background samples to see what those levels are in the area as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so moving on to the next AOC, again, at this location, we do see on this one, locations where we did not have any concentrations above PSLs. So down in the southeastern area here, we saw location 07 and 10 with all either gray or green shadings here. There's also one right in the middle. I think that's 06. So in this area, we saw concentrations below PSLs, whereas at other locations, we did see some yellow highlights and blue highlights. So we still have a little bit of work to do here, but lower concentrations here and fewer locations with detections above project screening levels. Okay, next one. AOC4, we saw some higher concentrations at this location or at this AOC. You can see some reds here, as well as an orange. And it looks like at this one as well, each of the locations that we did sample from had concentrations above PSL. So again, we'll have to step out here as well to delineate to PSLs or background in different directions. Okay. AOC5, similar here, every location except for one, kind of right here in the middle, had concentrations above PSLs. And towards the north here, we did see some higher concentrations where we have some reds and some oranges, indicating that PSLs were exceeded a little bit more than other locations where we just saw yellows or blues. Okay. AOC6, similar situation here. Every location did have a PSL exceedance. So again, we'll have to step out more or less in close to every direction here, depending on what we see for our background concentrations, but we do see PSL exceedances at every location at AOC6. Okay. AOC7, we did see a few locations here where actually it looks like it's just one where we did have all locations. Nope, sorry, I took that back. I got my colors mixed up. No, I did. Here we go, one location, SB09 here, where we did have greens and grays. And you can tell right that also by the symbol color is green as opposed to red. But every other symbol color here is red, indicating we have PSL exceedances. Although we do have some lower concentrations here, you can tell that by the higher number of blues, which indicates it's only between 1 and 2 times the project screening level. And last one, this is AOC 8. We did have 2 locations here, kind of in the eastern middle portion where we did have PSLs below or concentrations below PSLs, but pretty much at all other locations surrounding it, we did have PSL exceedances. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, just kind of wanted to get into our project fieldwork schedule moving forward. As Robert noted, a lot of our sampling in the future is going to be dependent upon access agreements. So once those are squared away, our first objective here is to really hopefully start with our monitoring well installation and sampling in February timeframe. That's going to take a little while, and then we'll get into the background surface soil sampling, the vertical aquifer sampling, additional surface soil sampling. We're right now, it's even if we could move forward with our surface sampling, we can't see the locations, and as our field tech Max could identify, you couldn't even penetrate the ground right now. So we got to wait for things to clear a little bit. We could do the monitoring well installation, but anything that involves like hand augering, it's a bit of a challenge at this point. So yeah, these are where we are moving forward. And I think there's one more slide to talk about the schedule. And these are things that are a little bit further off in the future. So, there's the surface soil sampling round 1 and 2, some additional groundwater sampling. And then our initial groundwater and our surface water sampling is going to be done about 6 months apart, so we can understand the temporal effects during gaining and losing streams at different times of the year. So generally those are scheduled for the November and the May timeframe. So again, this is just kind of a synopsis of our schedule here that's really dependent upon these access agreements that we're diligently working on. And with that, I'll kick it back to you all.
Okay. So questions for Drew?
This is Chris.
Oh, you guys are uncharacteristically quiet.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Go ahead. Who is this?
Oh, okay. Okay, it's Chris. Sorry. Hi.
Oh, hi, Chris.
Great presentation. Well done. Super interesting. Based off of this data, are you able to identify maybe the differences in types of AFFF that were used? Because it looks like there's very unique fingerprinting between the different locations. Is that an interest of this investigation? Is the types of AFFF used? Because it seems like there is kind of distinct fingerprints or profiles of the different compounds. I would need to see the list of all of them to really be able to say more of that, but I'm wondering if Patel has considered that as part of the work that you're doing.
Yeah, Robert, Tracy, Amanda, I'm happy to take a first cut at that, unless you all would like to speak on that first.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Drew.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
so yes, that's something we do hope to look at moving forward, and we do have a component of this evaluation that applies this PFAS signature analysis that we're working on, which not only includes the 40 compounds, but I think it's a list of hundreds of others, and that's compared against like an AFFF database, so we can better understand what types of AFFF are used. So I guess the short answer to your question is yes, that will be performed, but not really right now at this stage. It's not our objective right now, but that will be performed as part of the RI.
Fabulous. Thank you. Can I ask a follow-up question?
Go ahead, Chris.
Thank you. And so I also noticed that and this probably has been answered like multiple times, so I apologize for the redundancy. But I noticed particularly in the last area of concern that like really that exceedance of PFAS and the other ones is really reaching the boundary of the base, and that boundary is like down a hill and into a swamp. I'm wondering if if your sampling methods would consider to also go into that region.
So do you mean like off base, or do you mean in a
Yes,
like a marshy area?
it probably would be off base because I think it's like goes into a ravine and there's like a swamp at the bottom of a hill. Yeah, and I'm just concerned about like that traveling into that ecosystem. So I'm wondering if that offsite area is also up for consideration to be sampled and tested.
If it was, that's going to require some access agreements, and I may kick that back to Robert or Tracy about that.
Yeah, I'd have to see the location. You have to go back a slide or whichever. I guess is one of the
two more.
maybe it's a
Yeah,
couple.
like
Actually,
two more.
couple
AOC
slides.
8. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, this one right here.
So is that I don't know what body of water. Are you talking about that? Are you talking about just outside the purple line? Or are you talking about outside the road?
Yeah, outside of the perimeter of the base. I believe during a site visit we did a year or so ago, I think we came to this exact location, and right there is a fence, and then it kind of drops off into a ravine, and that's just where I was concerned because I feel like that is probably a very like large receptor for a lot of this. So I was wondering if any of that past the fence would also be in remedial investigation.
Yeah, I can't say if that like right there is without going back and looking at some of our larger maps that are plotting like where we want to sample, but we are taking surface water samples from a number of locations outside the perimeter of the fence. That's one of the things we're trying to get the access agreements for, and some of the small ponds, the river. So we are taking surface water samples from lakes and streams and rivers. So I don't know if there's one like directly close to that, but in general, we are taking them. I have to go back and actually look at a map, a broader map, but at the moment, so we are trying to cover those bases.
Thank you very much. And again, thank you. It's wonderful to actually finally identify and see some data as it relates to soil contamination. So thank you very much, everyone, for your work.
Thanks, Chris. Kristen.
Hi, yeah, thanks. I appreciate the presentation. And just to help Chris out, that water body is Pond Brook, and it runs all the way from Hamden Ponds down to well 1 and 2, down, the hill at Paper Mill, right? It comes all the way down to the Westville River. So yeah, they're going to be sampling there.
Yeah, Kristen, I think now that you said the name Pond Brook,
yeah,
you said Pond Brook. I mean, Whitney can look it up, but I think we do have some samples in there.
Yeah, it's the Westville Water Department land.
Yeah,
and we have like a set of monitoring wells going in near the well too.
Is this Whitney? Just for clarification for the meeting. No, that's okay for the meeting summary. I thought that was Whitney. Yep. Did we previously present some slides that showed future sampling locations, or are those in the In the QAP?
They're in the QAP. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Is there any follow-up action that we need here, or is the question answered by Whitney enough saying, yes, we're going to be sampling there?
On my end, I think so. I don't know if Kristen was just about to say something or not, but yeah, on my end, that was just mostly my question, was just seeing that such a large fold change in that area is very concerning. So I just wanted to check. Thank you very much.
I appreciate that, Chris. Thank you. Any
and
other
thank you, Chris.
questions?
I was going to ask a question.
Go ahead.
I was just trying to help Chris with his. I noticed that in the sampling areas, right, some areas are built up more than others, and some have more vegetation nearby. And I'm wondering whether or not you're keeping track of the types of vegetation that are nearby, just in case what you find is that the PFAS in your soil samples has been taken up by the vegetation.
We collect, I believe it's 20% of the samples we analyze for TOC and pH. And, we do have sample collection logs, which we note the area. And I don't know how specific we get into vegetation, but we certainly, will differentiate between an unpaved or a dirt surface versus a foliated surface, so to speak. So I don't know if Max is I don't know to what level we delineate what sort of vegetation is there. But we do have, as I mentioned, we do collect TOC samples at 20% of those, so we can get a general idea of what the soil composition is.
Thank you. And if I may, are you going to be drilling through pavement to take underneath soil samples, or right, if you have a hit somewhere and you step out and there's just nothing but pavement after that, are you going to not step out, like, so as to leave the, airport pavement alone?
Yeah, we ran into it's a hand auger that we collect these shallow soil samples, and a lot of the places the asphalt or the concrete is 3 feet thick. And so what we did was we kind of looked at the surface drainage along that, and if there were a liquid release, which way would it go? And we generally sample at the perimeter of where the asphalt and concrete is. You'll notice that in AOC 7, we ran into a lot of trouble there, so we had to move off to where the grassy areas were, where we could penetrate the ground.
Great. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Kristen. Other questions?
Yes, just a clarifying question. Sorry. Hi, everyone. Chris Clark here. TOC meaning total organic carbon?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Sometimes the acronyms can be tough.
No, well, I appreciate you calling them out on that. It's very easy for all of us to fall into acronyms, but especially for people who don't deal with this all the time. I appreciate you.
Yes, or if you haven't taken graduate soil science, then it's tough. Thanks.
Okay, raise your hand if you haven't. No, I'm just kidding. Any other questions? Comments from RAB members? I think our next thing is going to the public. I have not seen public comments in the chat once we got the slides on the screen. Do we have anybody else I'm going to open it up to anybody with questions or comments on the presentations you've seen here tonight. Okay. All right, then next slide. Okay, so this is contact information. You've seen this before. For the base, if you need to reach out to the base, please reach out to Jay Hewitt. Jay is the public affairs manager for the base. If you have questions or comments that are specifically for Jen Baker or for Colonel Glass or Colonel Sinclair, Jay will forward those and follow up in that direction for you. Kathleen's email is here, and again for RAB members, she's your you funnel questions, comments through her, emails through her, and we'll get those. And likewise, she will periodically reach out to you all. I'm going to come back to your comment in a second, Kristen. I just saw that pop up. I haven't read it all yet. Your contact information there is for Robert Lewis, Program Manager of the National Guard Bureau, as well as Tom Keefe for the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection. I've also added email and contact information for Carla, who is going to be your RAB facilitator moving forward. Her email's there. Again, I'm not going anywhere. So if you send me an email, I'm going to forward it to Carla. So I'm around. Kristen, one clarification about the airport manager's comment about high expansion foam and the C6 fluorochemicals. It's a tenant of the city using it in a hangar. It's not the city of Westfield or the municipal airport itself. Thanks for that clarification, Kristen. And Jen, you mentioned that you were going to be speaking to the airport manager. So I just want to call that out to your attention. Next slide. Okay, you've all seen this before. These are websites for more information. There's a variety of them there for you. I'm going to keep going. And closing remarks from Kathy and Colonel Glass.
First of all, I want to just say thank you, Amy, for being our Jacob consultant. You kept us all on track and a very cordial. You did a great job with everything you did, and I appreciate it. Is this your last meeting with us?
It is. I will probably be online in April. This would have been my last in-person meeting. I'm sorry that it wasn't. But I have it's bittersweet, and there are good reasons that I am stepping down as RAB facilitator, but I'm really sorry to be leaving you guys. I'm very interested in the project and feel like I've gotten to know all of you, and so it's tough. So you're probably going to see me online because I may not be able to keep away, but
we hope so.
I'm also available. You're in good hands with Carla. We've worked together for a long time. She is an experienced community outreach specialist and done facilitation. You saw that she already fixed your display, your screen issues, which I wouldn't have been able to do for you. So yeah, I trust that you're in good hands with Carla, and I will miss you guys. But thank you, Kathy. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Colonel Glass.
Yeah, I'll reiterate. Thank you, Amy, for the hard work you've put in to this. It means a lot to especially the 104th. So thank you. And I would also just want to say thanks to everyone, especially in this presentation, for their hard work. There's a lot of work that has been done that is going on and looks like will continue to go on. So I'm extremely grateful for the professionals that are participating in this and lending their expertise to help out the RAB and working towards a common future that we all share together. So it means a lot to me that you guys are and gals are helping out with that. And then the last thing I'll say is I hope we get to see each other in person in April. And please, if there's anything that the 104th can do to answer questions as needed, if there's just general questions, please get them to Mr. Hewitt. That's it. That's what we pay him the big bucks for. So reach out to him, and we'll be more than happy to clear up any questions that you may have regarding what we're doing at the base. And in the interest of time, I will say that is all, and thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much. I think the last slide says meeting adjourned. I'm pretty sure. There you go, or something like that. So thanks, everybody. I really appreciate everybody coming out or staying in, but logging on. And so I think we had a really productive meeting, and I'll miss you.
Safe travels, Amy, and good luck with your operation.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We'll miss you. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. All right. Take care. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.